Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the latest headlines. BJP hints at support to Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manji during crucial floor test tomorrow. Party's state wing decides to send strong message to Manji's rival Nitish Kumar. Contradictory claims on Pakistani boat blowing up off Gujarat coast stirs major controversy. Pakistan demands explanation from India on the operation. Swine flu death toll reaches 675 in India after 12 more die in Gujarat. Centre and drug distributors assure all preparedness to deal with the crisis. And US President Barack Obama defends war on terror, says US is at war with those perverting Islam. Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manji has a shot in the arm ahead of the crucial floor test tomorrow. The BJP has decided to side with him in his test of strength between Manji and his predecessor Nitish Kumar. The decision was taken unanimously by the party's MLAs to send a strong message to Nitish for humiliating a Mahadalit.
Bihar's BJP legislature group has decided to extend support to Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manji during the trial of strength in the assembly tomorrow. The decision comes after BJP's denial to get involved in the political crisis due to infighting in ruling JDU.
आज जो विधायक दल की बैठक थी, उस बैठक में विधायकों की आम राय थी कि नीतीश कुमार ने जिस तरह से एक महादलित को अपमानित किया है, उस अपमान का बदला लिया जाए और भारतीय जनता पार्टी को श्री जीतन राम मांझी को समर्थन देना चाहिए.
Presently, BJP has 87 MLAs in Bihar Assembly. With BJP on his side, Manji now needs to muster support of 30 more MLAs to reach the magic figure of 117. He sounds confident to pull it off tomorrow.
अब 2 दिन बच गया है तो 20 तारीख को आप लोग देखेंगे ना, हम लोग एकदम विश्वास मत प्राप्त करेंगे.
However, Nitish Kumar claims he has the support of around 130 MLAs. Ahead of the floor test, JDU sought the post of the leader of opposition. The party had written to the speaker asking that it should be recognized as the main opposition. The party also slammed BJP for siding with Manji.
राजनीतिक हित के कारण बिहार को इस स्थिति में डाला है जो गरीब सूबा है कि आज अस्थिरता ही नहीं, वहां राजनीति के पतन की पराकाष्ठा है.
All eyes will now be on the central leadership of BJP. The party's Bihar team wants to go ahead from the High Command, which so far has remained skeptical about taking sides in this battle of supremacy between Manji and Nitish Kumar. The BJP legislators will again meet today to discuss their strategy. A final decision is likely by this evening. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining us for a chat this morning is our correspondent Shyam Sundar on the phone line. Well, Shyam, as far as the BJP's unit in Bihar is concerned, the BJP state unit wants to support Jitan Ram Manji for the floor test tomorrow, but the final decision, of course, will be taken sometime today because even the top brass of the party will have to have a say as far as this matter is concerned. But things are getting interesting as far as Bihar is concerned, aren't they?
Well, really, things are getting very, very interesting because day before yesterday, none other than Mr. Sushil Modi, who announced that Bihar BJP MLAs want to support Mr. Jitan Ram Manji because it is a case of Mahadalit's pride in Jitan Ram Manji's support. And he said day before yesterday in Delhi BJP office on Ashok Road that BJP will decide what they will do in trust vote on 20th February on the floor of the House. But pressure was on the BJP if their senior leaders, if their central leaders and senior ministers meeting Mr. Jitan Ram Manji, why they don't announce where they stand. And the way Mr. Sushil Modi announced yesterday that they will go with Mr. Manji is very, very clear that there is go ahead from central leadership. Of course, formally party has to take a stand, but now it is very, very clear that the BJP has decided to go with Mr. Jitan Ram Manji till yesterday. they were not ready to own Mr. Jitan Ram Manjhi because Janata Dal United was blaming BJP that script is written in Delhi in 7 RCR and Ashok Road. Mr. Amit Shah and Mr. Narendra Modi is behind the whole Bihar crisis. But now it is very, very clear that BJP cannot disown Mr. Jitan Ram Manjhi, and BJP is going to side with Jitan Ram Manjhi on 20th February in trust vote.
All right, Shyam Sundar, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining us there with all those details on what's likely to happen in Bihar. Moving on now, of course, a major controversy has erupted over what exactly happened to the Pakistani boat that exploded off the Porbandar coast on the night of 31st December last year. The Coast Guard DIG BK Loshali made a U-turn after a video surfaced of him saying that he was the one who ordered the suspect Pakistani boat to be blown up. Here's a report.
Let me introduce the
Both the Defence Ministry and the Coast Guard on Wednesday denied media reports that quoted a DIG as saying they destroyed a Pakistani terrorist boat on the night of 31st December last year off the Porbandar coast.
If any news channel shows that he has said that, I will inquire and find out. If someone tomorrow makes a statement which is incorrect, at the most you are making a case of a disciplinary proceeding against him. I told you so clear, we stand by what we said.
लोशाली साहब जो है वो बता रहे हैं कि उनको आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेस्ट कोट किया गया है, जो भी न्यूज़पेपर आप बात कर रहे हैं उनके जो फैक्ट्स है वो गलत कोट किए गए हैं एंड फैक्चुअल पोजीशन वही है जो कोस्ट गार्ड बोलता रहा है.
But the Indian Express newspaper, which reported DIG Loshali's statements, uploaded the video in which he reportedly made the remarks.
I hope you remember 31st December night. We blew off the Pakistan. We have blown them off.
DIG Loshali later claimed at a press conference that he was misquoted.
I was not privy to whatever was happening. So I have been misquoted. The boat has actually set herself on fire and sunk.
Soon after the incident, both the Defence Ministry as well as Minister Manohar Parrikar said that crew set the boat on fire themselves when they were asked to surrender. The opposition, however, took the government to task, questioning Parrikar's earlier statement.
The defence minister has come out with a statement that it was the Pakistan terrorist and they blown the boat themselves. This statement was made by the defence minister. Subsequently, the different statements came and now the whole thing looks very much confused.
Government must explain, government must come clean and explain everything to the people and the country. Otherwise, people will start questioning.
Did the Coast Guard carry out a correct standard operating procedure? Yes. Were the rules of engagement correct? Yes. They did what they were supposed to do to save the sovereignty of the nation.
According to the Defence Ministry, the Pakistani vessel set off from near Karachi on the eve of New Year and reportedly had 4 occupants. After the incident, there was speculation that the Pakistani boat was inside the Indian maritime boundary for drug trafficking or smuggling. But the government denied that theory. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, reacting to the controversy, Pakistan demanded an explanation from India on the Coast Guard operation against the boat. The development comes as India and Pakistan's foreign secretaries are set to resume dialogue next month. Defence Minister Khwaja Asif slammed New Delhi, accusing it of being heinous in its face after the controversial claim by the Coast Guard officer that his force had blown up the boat in December last year. He accused India of violating the international rules and disregarding the humanitarian considerations. Now, Asif reiterated that Pakistan's desire for peace and coexistence in the region must not be seen as its weakness. Joining me for a chat this morning on this very subject is Commodore C. Uday Bhaskar, Director, Society for Policy Studies. Good morning, Commodore. As far as this particular situation or this issue is concerned, it seems to be extremely confusing. The government is saying one thing, the DIG has been quoted as saying something else in the Indian Express newspaper. Now, of course, the Coast Guard and the Defence Ministry seem to be speaking in one voice, but still a lot of confusion prevails as far as this incident is concerned.
Characterization that after the Indian Express had reported this particular officer and the statement attributed to him, I would say that the Coast Guard is scrambling to investigate the video that has been circulated where the officer has said what has been reported in the media. But I think we should see this as a stand-alone event of this officer making claims that are completely counterfactual, especially when it is very clear that he does not come in the operational loop. Therefore, the suggestion that he could have actually given such an order to the Coast Guard vessel that was tracking the suspicious Pakistani boat is quite baseless. So I think the Coast Guard will carry out an investigation as to what may have prompted or provoked the officer to have made these wild claims. That having been said, I think over the last 24 hours, this particular issue I think has got in a way muddied by the various statements that have been made, particularly by some of the political parties, wherein questions are being raised about the credibility of what the Defence Minister and the Defence Ministry and the Coast Guard headquarters had said when this incident had occurred sometime in early January. So I think this is an issue that should not be allowed to fester.
You know,
the Defence Ministry, the Coast Guard headquarters should offer.
Commodore, as far as India-Pak relations are concerned, how is this incident really going to affect ties between the two countries? Let's not forget, the Foreign Secretary level talks are set to resume sometime next month. So is it going to have any kind of bearing on these talks?
I think it will, because you can already see that Pakistan is trying to claim or extract as much of diplomatic and political mileage as is possible. They have already raised the bar and made allegations against India, particularly making this out to be a case of human rights violation and a transgression of international law. Now this, as I said, is predictable. India would have to respond with the appropriate manner. My sense is that while it may give Pakistan a certain leverage, it will not have a very significant impact on the bilateral, particularly when the Foreign Secretary Dr. Jaishankar would be going to Pakistan on his first visit, which also marks some kind of a resumption of the interrupted dialogue that had been taking place between India and Pakistan. Frank?
Indeed, and as far as this incident itself is concerned, Commodore, talking about the trawler being blown up, we've seen political parties reacting to it. We've seen political parties asking the Defence Ministry to come out with some kind of an explanation and to come clean as far as this incident is concerned. What more can we expect in the days to come? Is there anything else that the Defence Minister and the Defence Ministry actually can say about this?
Well, I'm sure that Mr. Parikar, when he was speaking in Bengaluru at the Aero Show, he had assured the media that there was evidence that he had seen about what exactly had transpired in January, and that he would share this with the media at the appropriate time. My sense is that the Defence Minister and the Ministry can really offer a certain degree of background information about whatever may have happened as far as the suspicious Pakistani vessel is concerned, in a manner that does not compromise national security. Because if you remember, Frank, the genesis of this operation was that it was an intelligence alert. And I think there are various other issues here that are related to the management of higher defense as far as India is concerned, at the highest levels, from the Prime Minister, the Cabinet Committee on Security. And this has very, very long-term implications because it relates to terrorism, particularly in the context of what happened in Mumbai in November 2008. Right. So I think in a democracy like ours, we need transparency, but yet in the same manner, in a manner that doesn't compromise national security. And we should be very careful about casting aspersions on the integrity of an armed force. So I think these are issues that need to be kept in mind. as this public debate goes on this
Sure.
particular issue.
Indeed.
Right.
All right, Commodore, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning and putting things into perspective for us as far as the trawler issue is concerned. Well, on that note, it's time for a short break now, but coming up on the program in our special series on the union budget, we focus on expectations from the rail budget. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to India's World.
For us in the Arab world, we see the American Obama president has killed more than George Bush.
What Mr. President Obama is doing is he's just clearing the ground for further, for his domestic audience. And secondly, don't forget that his term is just short of 2 years.
ISIS poses attractions for some Muslims, particularly in parts of Southwest Asia.
Watch the experts debate the United States' planned offensive on the Islamic State in India's World, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, swine flu continues to claim more lives across India as the centre battles out concerns over its growing impact. 12 more people died in Gujarat yesterday, taking the overall figure to 675 this year in India. However, Health Minister JP Nadda claims that hospitals are equipped to deal with the crisis. Here's more.
Death toll in the recent spate of swine flu cases has shot up to 675 across India. The figures show that there is no let-up in the impact of the virus as it claimed over 50 lives in the last 3 days. 12 more died in Gujarat yesterday, taking the toll in the state to 167 this year. The number of people affected by the virus has already crossed 10,000. Health Minister JP Nadda said there was no dearth of medicines and hospitals were equipped to deal with swine flu. The ministry said states have also not made any demand regarding drugs, diagnostic kits and other wherewithal to deal with the issue.
All hospitals have been equipped with isolation wards. We have got adequate medicines. Government of India is monitoring on day-to-day basis for the past 2 months. There have been cases where the patients have reported late. It is because of the reporting late that it has happened.
Delhi government ordered all private medical labs not to charge more than 4,500 rupees to carry out tests for the viral disease. The move comes following complaints of several patients that tests are being conducted at exorbitant rates in the city's private labs. The distributors of Tamiflu drugs have assured of adequate stock to deal with the crisis.
में स्टॉक जो है वो प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं और आगे जो कंपनियां हैं उनको भी कहा है कि आप एयरलिफ्ट दिल्ली के लिए स्पेशली कराइए, इस दवा को अवेलेबल करवाइए। एयरलिफ्ट कराना मेडिसिन कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है क्योंकि हैदराबाद से और बॉम्बे से ये एयरलिफ्ट होनी है और 2 या 3 घंटे में ये माल अवेलेबल वहां से एयरलिफ्ट होकर आ सकता है। अभी इसको प्रिकॉशंस के लिए इसकी आवश्यकता नहीं है क्योंकि आपको ये कैसे मालूम है कि आपको ये स्वाइन फ्लू है। इतना जो है पैनिक होने का मेरा ख्याल है, मैं समझता हूं है नहीं।
13 हॉस्पिटल्स में जो दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट के हैं दवाइयां पूरी स्टॉक रखा गया है और शनिवार को जब शपथ ली थी हमने, शपथ लेने के बाद हमने सभी हॉस्पिटल्स को ऑर्डर दिया था कि स्टॉक को डबल किया जाए और कल डिलीवरी आ चुकी है। स्टॉक के साथ हमने बफर स्टॉक डबल कर दिया। मैक्सिमम रेट स्वाइन फ्लू के टेस्टिंग का 4,500 होगा, इससे कम आप ले सकते हैं, ज्यादा नहीं ले सकते।
Rajasthan and Gujarat are the worst hit states with over 100 deaths reported in each this year alone. The death toll in Madhya Pradesh is also inching towards 3 figures. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, India will decide on the fate of the long-delayed deal for the 126 Dassault Rafale fighter jets only after March. The announcement was made by the Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar at the Aero India show in Bengaluru. However, he declined to say when a final decision was likely on the contract. A final deal has been held up due to a stalemate over a crucial component of the deal. Under the terms of the contract, the winning bidder will supply only 18 of the aircraft directly and the rest will be manufactured in India by state-owned Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. The Rafale, which is the mainstay of the French Air Force and Navy, was picked in 2012 over rival offers from the United States, Europe and Russia.
There is no premature indication to CMC. Let them complete their process. I can only assure you that I have told them to do it fast. Otherwise, I will ensure that they put it fast to me at least in the month of March, if not February. We expect lot of business deals and lot of deals which will take defense industry in India, basically make in India forward. Defense is a sector where the demand is almost restricted to one buyer, and that is defense itself.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized the need to change India's perception towards mental illness. Speaking at the convocation of the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Modi asked young professionals to work for eradicating superstition regarding mental illness in society. He said lack of knowledge and awareness and superstition as the challenges in the field of mental health.
आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं कि मानसिक बीमारी के प्रति देखने का समाज का रवैया कैसा है और उसमें से बदलाव लाना है। और ये हेल्थ रिलेटेड विषय है, ये फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम है, इसके सॉल्यूशन उस रूप से निकल सकते हैं और बीमारियों को जैसे ट्रीट किया जा सकता है इसे भी किया जा सकता है।
Let's now bring you some other significant updates from around the nation in our segment Nationwide. PDP President Mehbooba Mufti met Finance Minister Arun Jaitley yesterday in Delhi as her party and BJP tried to narrow the differences over the common minimum program for formation of a government in Jammu and Kashmir. Mufti is in the capital since last weekend. Senior BJP leader Arun Singh was also present during the meet. Aam Aadmi Party has been cleared of charges of illegal foreign funding. The centre admitted before the Delhi High Court that there were no violations of Foreign Currency Regulation Act provisions while accepting donations during the Delhi Assembly polls. The Aam Aadmi Party has demanded an apology from the BJP for misleading the people on the issue. The vital health parameters of veteran communist leader Govind Pansare returned to normal over the last 24 hours, but he continued to be on ventilator support. Doctors said Pansare was in a critical but stable condition. However, he would need to be on the ventilator for some more time. He was shot along with his wife by unidentified gunmen outside his house on Monday. Let's now bring you up to date with what's lined up for the day today in our segment The Day Ahead. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to roll out a centrally sponsored scheme Soil Health Card today in Rajasthan. The scheme is for the benefit of farmers across the country. The scheme aims to provide soil health cards to over 14 crore farmers in the next 3 years to check overuse of fertilizers in farmlands. A decision on the raising of pension age could be in the offing. The Retirement Fund Body Employees Provident Fund Organization will take up the matter for discussion today. The age limit of vesting of pension has been proposed to be raised by 2 years to 60. EPFO is also likely to appoint fund managers for a 3-year term from April 1st. The Supreme Court will hear the bail plea of social activist Teesta Setalwad today in the Gulbarg Fund misuse case. The court had earlier stayed the arrest of the activist and her husband for allegedly embezzling funds for a museum at Gulbarg Society. Gujarat High Court had rejected their anticipatory bail plea, but the Supreme Court had granted them protection from arrest for 6 days. Well, let's now turn our focus on the upcoming rail budget. Private investment is expected to be the biggest priority for Rail Minister Suresh Prabhu when he presents his maiden budget on the 25th of February. The industry expects clearer indications on public-private partnership and FDI models. Here's a report.
Rail Minister Suresh Prabhu's first rail budget comes in the backdrop of a falling global crude prices.
and expectations of a rail fare cut too. But for now, Prabhu's priorities will be getting the investment cycle going for the railways.
Honorable Suresh Prabhu has been handpicked for this purpose, and he is very well experienced in this. But the task is quite awesome. I am a railway man and I have friends, so the indications I get, based on that, there is going to be a very strong pitch for private investment.
Soon after he took charge as the rail minister, Suresh Prabhu had released a framework document for participative models of rail connectivity and domestic and foreign direct investment. It lays down the railways' massive investment needs. Estimates say the railways require 14,000 crore rupees for suburban corridor projects, 63,180 crores for high-speed trains, 8,452 crores for freight lines, 222 crore rupees for freight lines and an estimated 800 crores for signalling systems. Watchers say these projects are likely to find focus in Prabhu's speech, and the rail minister could indicate a resource generation mechanism, some concrete remedies to shortcomings cited in the last year's budget.
There has been focus on sanctioning projects rather than completing them. In the last 30 years, as many as 676 projects were sanctioned worth rupees 1,57,883 crore. Of this, only 317 projects could be completed and 359 projects remain to be completed, which will now require as much as 1,82,000 crore.
The big challenge for Prabhu is roping the private sector that's not so keen to invest without being allowed to collect revenues.
Up till now, the Indian Railway policy is that we will not allow the private sector to come in operations, or we will not allow private sector to collect the revenue. Then it is better that the activities which private sector can manage better, like production of rolling stock and other industrial activity, that should be left to the private sector.
Allowing 100% FDI in areas such as construction, operation and maintenance of high-speed train projects, dedicated freight lines and other areas has been a big step forward. Even now though, no investors have come forward, Suresh Prabhu will be looking to correct that. Suresh Prabhu's maiden railway budget is likely to give clear indications on public-private partner model. But passengers are unlikely to get any rail fare cut in the upcoming rail budget. With camera person Ashwini, Rajkamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on to some international news now, US President Barack Obama defended his decision not to call war against Islamic State as a religious one during an anti-terror summit in Washington. Obama said that Islamic State has been propagating a false notion that the US is at war with Islam. He said those heading groups like Islamic State and the Al-Qaeda should be termed terrorists, not religious leaders. The recent shootings in Copenhagen and Paris have only galvanized Western resolve against such extremist attacks. Here's more.
US President resorted to strong words at the Washington summit to counter spread of extremism around the world. Barack Obama said associating Islamic State or Al-Qaeda with the religion would be buying into the propaganda of such groups. He clarified that the United States is not at war with Islam but the people who have perverted the religion. Obama argued that denying religious legitimacy to terrorists is an important part of countering the radicalization of potential recruits.
Al-Qaeda and ISIL and groups like it are desperate for legitimacy. And they propagate the notion that America, and the West generally, is at war with Islam. That's how they recruit. That's how they try to radicalize young people. We must never accept the premise that they put forward, because it is a lie. Nor should we grant these terrorists the religious legitimacy that they seek. They are not religious leaders, they're terrorists.
US Secretary of State John Kerry emphasized the need for stern action to battle Islamic State. Kerry also focused on improving use and sharing of information to counter such threats.
That rather than be deterred, we have to be even more resolved to eradicate this kind of terror. So we will do whatever it takes, which is why President Obama asked everybody to come here to begin to lay the groundwork to achieve that whatever it takes. because history has shown us that tyranny and aggression do not stop on their own.
The three-day summit brings together representatives from 60 nations following heightened tensions in the Middle East and Europe owing to recent terror attacks and killings. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.